Welcome to Eligible Monster. I'm Benny. That's Natalie. We like to do lore, discussions, opinions, and a little thing we call Listcussions right here at this channel. A Listcussion is where we find a list presented by a different website or a different location, and we go through it and react to it to see what we think and then get your guys' opinions in the comments down below.
React harder.
React harder?
Yes.
How hard are we going to react?
I'm just saying, you got to react harder.
All right.
If you think you react hard enough, it's probably not enough.
Okay. So, I got to react. Today's list is Batman Arkham Reboot. 10 villains who must appear. And she's bored of me. She's bored of me. She's like, whatever. What are you doing?
Excuse me.
Stop being an idiot.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's
Batman Arkham Reboot. I guess one, I don't think we should have a reboot at all. We should continue the series. But according to this list, if they were to reboot it, we have 10 villains who must appear. I believe we might be experts in this area because I run a channel called Comicstorian.
Do you think you are a Comicstorian? Okay,
and she likes Catwoman, so I think we can talk about this.
The one, thank you. The one superhero we can give me. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Catwoman. Yep. Sure. Yes.
David Kane. Okay.
You are gonna have to run through.
I'm gonna explain all
of these, except I know a few.
Okay.
I mean,
So who's David Kane?
Batman universe is my favorite. I have no idea.
Okay.
And that's probably why he's number 10.
You saw Birds of Prey, right?
Yes.
What was the girl's name?
Cassandra Cain.
Right. Okay, but that's not her at all, basically. So David Kane is an assassin who trained his daughter, Cassandra Cain, to not be able to speak, but be able to read people's body language to be a super assassin.
Yes, you were very upset about that. I remember. Yes.
So David Kane would be a horrible villain to put into a Batman reboot. If we're going to reboot the series, I don't know why you would do David Kane. Just go right to Cassandra Cain and then backstory him.
They want. You mean a new game?
If we're gonna do a sequel, yes, I think David Kane could work because that's how you get introduced Orphan into the universe.
You mean
this says reboot
instead of the Jokers and Mr. Freeze and
right? Yeah, and replacing them. If we, right. That's why if we're doing a reboot, we're just gonna pull back in the ones that make sense.
Yeah.
Even the screenshot they're using shows David Kane using a sniper rifle. You would just bring back Deadshot. So you know what? For the sake of argument for this list, no reboot. This is the fifth game in the series.
But if you bring in that guy, then you bring in his daughter, and then you bring in the Birds of Prey attached to Batman too.
Kind of
eventually,
I guess, yeah.
So that would
that's what I'm saying. That would work as a sequel, a fifth game in the series.
Right.
Because if we're going to start over, you're just going to go back to the big names.
You start over with this guy, and then the sequel after that, you bring in the daughter, and then after that, you bring in the Birds of Prey.
Well, I guess if you want to reboot, you could do that. Mm-hmm. Natalie's got a better idea for reboots.
No, I'm just saying, it says reboot, dude.
Number 9 is Talon. So in Gotham City, there's a secret organization known as
Court of Owl.
Yes.
I told you that's the only book I read, dude. The Court of Owls, I know.
All right.
Yeah.
They're supposedly going to be the villains in the new game that's coming out.
And that means that if they have these guys, Catwoman is also part of it, right?
She's not a part of the Court of Owls.
She's not?
No.
I thought she was touched by them at some point.
No. Nightwing is. Nightwing was supposed to be.
That's right. Yeah, sorry. Okay.
The butt
My bad.
was supposed to be.
Yeah. Okay.
So Court of the Owls is a secret organization that is basically inside of Gotham City. They're already speculated to be in the sequel game, so if you were to do a reboot, you could better implement them into the whole series. That would work. The Phantasm.
Go ahead.
Okay, so back in the Batman the Animated Series days, there was a movie that came out in theaters, The Mask of the Phantasm. It was this villain that was created to fight against Bruce Wayne, and she turned out to be Andrea Beaumont. I'm going Beaumont. Bruce Wayne's first and strongest love.
Oh, it's a woman?
Yes. But you couldn't tell for the entire movie because of her outfit, the Phantasm.
Of course, yeah.
Well, the cool thing about the Phantasm character is they've never really used her since this. I think she had like one other appearance. But she's just a villain that showed up in the movie, and that was the end of it.
His first love?
Yeah, that's how they promoted it.
What did he do to her for her to turn that way?
He loved her so much that he was ready to quit being Batman because he finally felt happy and at peace with his life. Kind of what they just did with Catwoman.
Yeah, no kidding.
Of course, that didn't last very long, and she vanished from life as quickly as she appeared. I don't remember her full story.
Like, I'm confused. Did she just?
Oh, she's actually gonna show up as her first canon debut in the new Batman Catwoman series that's coming out.
I see.
So they're actually gonna put her in proper canon finally, because she's only been in the animated universe up to this point.
So what the hell has she been doing the whole time? And now she's just coming
back.
The
animated universe ended in like early 2000s.
No, I understand that, but why are they gonna just introduce her back into the?
We'll find out. No one knows.
Okay.
KG Beast.
I have no idea.
Basically a Russian super soldier. But he's so good at his job that he can literally beat down Batman. He's beat down most of the various... He's weird because he's very effective at beating up Batman and everybody. but they don't use him that often.
So
almost like Deathstroke.
That I was about to say, yeah, Deathstroke.
So basically, Deathstroke's a better version of KG Beast.
Right.
KG Beast is a much lesser version.
Did he come out first?
I think Deathstroke probably came out first because otherwise, or he's just more popular. I don't know.
This is just a copy?
I don't know who is. He is one of Batman's most dangerous foes in the comics, including shooting Dick Grayson in the head, which recently happened, nearly killing him and wiping out all his memories. Batman is naturally focused over this and travels to Siberia and Russia to find him, brutalized him, and left him for dead in the snow. Not the first time Batman did that. One of their earlier meetings, Batman walled him up, like in bricks, and just left him.
In bricks?
Yeah, like walled him up in like a sewer or something like that. Just literally walled him up. So it's like one of those, I don't kill. But if you happen to die because I left you to die, well, that's not my fault.
I love Batman's reasoning. That makes perfect sense.
Well, isn't that what they did in the Batman v Superman, where he jumps in? He's like, yes, your napalm canister may have blown up and killed you, but I didn't do that. I just didn't stop you from dying.
This is just your poor life decisions right there.
KGB should be good, but I think if we're rebooting, we'll just use Deathstroke. If we're continuing, KGB should be a great one to bring in.
Yeah.
Kite Man?
I wouldn't be able to take him seriously, man.
Kite Man?
Yeah,
okay.
if he was coming in, he'd just be cracking these jokes.
Hell yeah.
Then again, I don't know, because I only know this guy from the newest Harley Quinn show.
Right.
And that's all I know of him. And I know in this show, everyone's just over the top. So I don't know how he truly is in the comics. I think he cracks jokes, though, right?
Okay, so the Harley Quinn portrayal took what he is and brought it to the extreme. Kite Man is a joke character, kind of like Condiment King, or one of those characters that wants to be a villain but can't get a good gimmick going.
Right.
So what you saw in Harley Quinn is kind of his concept, just he's not that jokey. Recently in the Tom King run, they gave a lot of backstory to Kite Man, in which he pretty much was introduced and brought into the Joker versus the Riddler war, and I believe it was the Riddler killed his son. Yeah.
Right.
And that, like, he has like a whole depressing backstory and everything like that. Dan can nod, did he kill his son, right? In that backstory? Yeah. I wasn't sure if he was threatening to or if he actually did. But that's how he ended up joining up with the villains. They all recognize him, but he's Kite Man, and his catchphrase is hell yeah. Yeah.
That's all I know from him.
Right. Reboot or sequel, he would work in both of them if you're going to have him as a joke character. He would have to be I don't know how they would do it, not make him just the one that's in Harley Quinn, the animated series.
That's what I mean, yeah. I think it would just be, that would be cool.
So She-Bat, number 5, is the Man-Bat's wife.
I could see it because see, when I picture an Arkham reboot, I picture Gotham to be very dark. Yeah. And that's why I like these kind of characters, these villains, to be dark as well. If that makes sense, to just kind of go with the theme of Gotham being.
So if we were to reboot it, I could see using She-Bat instead of Man-Bat just to kind of put a twist in that the gamers aren't expecting.
That's right, because he was already in it.
He was already in it. If we're going to do a sequel, she would also make sense because now she's got the serum from her husband. And
yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, that could work very easily for a sequel or a reboot. I'm still arguing that none of this should be in a reboot, but... Killer Moth. Okay. Fans of the Arkham series have been waiting to see Killer Moth appear for over 10 years now. His existence in the series universe was confirmed in a character bio in Arkham Asylum, accompanied by artwork of a special design made just for the series. However, he still hasn't appeared despite many games being released in the series since then. He's a very colorful villain which is what makes him distinct from a lot of the villains that the series has included. He would be a stark contrast to the dark muted world of Gotham City. He could potentially be one of the most visually memorable villains Batman has faced off yet. His ability to fight and his unique cocoon gun, he would also make a more interesting replacement for Firefly, a character who's already appeared in multiple times. So I've read this because I don't really know much on him. I know Firefly, and
he's been appearing in.
I've seen series. Killer Moth, I want to say,
right,
but I don't know. Like of all the characters,
is this just another ripoff of Firefly as well?
Yeah, basically the same kind of concept.
Yeah,
I know he's been referenced, but I don't think I've read a comic that he was actually in. I might be wrong. I read a lot of comics. He may have just been like a one-off passing joke thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. Ventriloquist.
Yes. I would like to see that.
As a reboot or sequel, either one he'd work. Mm-hmm. So Ventriloquist is really simple. It's pretty much an insane guy who has a ventriloquist dummy that he speaks through.
I know of him.
It's Scarface the gangster.
I know about him because of the Gotham TV show.
He was in that too?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was nobody was taking him seriously until he came back and he went crazy and then actually shot people.
Yeah.
And then Penguin and Riddler were like, oh shit, we probably should take you seriously.
Well, the whole thing with the ventriloquist is depending on who's writing it, Scarface is actually a dummy that's alive controlling Wesker,
Right.
or Wesker's insane talking through Scarface. Depends on who's writing it and how they're handling the storylines.
Right.
He's never been confirmed in either direction, and most of the characters treat Wesker as like, well, you have Scarface that you're talking through. So even in the portrayals in which Scarface is more alive than he should be, the characters typically in the universe just treat it as, okay, that's just Wesker's the problem. If we pull away Scarface, he has no outlet.
No, he doesn't. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I could see that. It would be interesting. I like it.
Prometheus. That's a character I've not seen in a very long time. Prometheus is one of the strongest fighters in the DC universe who would absolutely give Batman a run for his money. Batman in the Arkham universe was fated to fight him eventually from the start. This is because he's one of the many villains who were featured as a character bio in Arkham Asylum, but is yet to appear in the series. He would probably be one of the toughest boss fights in the whole series. He has a mastery of both melee weapons and firearms. He has an incredibly strong suit of armor, and he's adept in hand-to-hand fighting, and his intelligence is on par with Batman. In many ways, Prometheus is an evil reflection of Batman. His parents were also gunned down in front of him when he was a child, and he made a promise to himself that redefined the rest of his life. However, his parents were not killed by a criminal like the Waynes were. They were killed by police officers, which motivated him to dedicate his life to combating the law in all ways possible. Prometheus is an interesting one because he doesn't pop up very often. I believe he was used in one of the seasons in Arrow, but every time I got into Arrow, I always lost track and stopped watching Arrow. So I don't know if he was properly used or what they did with him in general.
Right.
Prometheus would be interesting, but he's kind of along the lines of Deathstroke again. If we're rebooting, I think people would just go with Deathstroke. If we're continuing, yes, Prometheus.
Right.
What do you think?
What is Deathstroke fighting for though? He's not fighting against.
He's just straight mercenary.
Yeah, he's working for himself, right?
Yeah,
he's working
I guess
for the money.
Yeah.
This guy is working against the cops, and of course, Batman wants to protect the cops. So there's that.
I guess plot-wise, you're right. Yeah, if we were to work a plot around him, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I think you know this
different.
character from the Harley Quinn show.
Maxie Zeus.
Remember the guy that she tried to get advice from, and they broke into his place, and Clayface had to try and act like his son?
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
So remove the comical side of it. That's Maxie Zeus.
Yeah.
He's the guy who thinks he's a Greek god. I have not read anything.
The one that wants to get with Harley Quinn all the time, and she's like, no, okay. Yeah.
I've not read any Maxie Zeus storyline, so I have no idea if he's actually a Greek god or if he thinks he's a Greek god. Matter of fact, the first time I've seen Maxie Zeus in anything was the Harley Quinn show.
He's certainly built like one.
Yep, and I Googled to see if he was a real character in the DC universe or if the Harley Quinn show invented him. Because I have no idea who Maxie Zeus was. Yeah, wow. I didn't know. He was a featured character bio in the original game with many unseen characters. However, unlike many others, the references of him don't stop there. One of the most prominent buildings in the entire map of Arkham City is the Gotham City Olympus nightclub, a building owned and themed around the villain. After being hinted at repeatedly, veteran fans of the series would love to actually see Maxie Zeus appear in the game. His strange personality and aesthetic would make for an interesting mission, and it would probably lean heavily into Greek mythology theme. Perhaps there could even be multiple small boss fights in the mission, each based around different mythological characters. He would be interesting just because we wouldn't know what to expect.
Yeah, it would be completely different from what we're used to. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can totally see that working though. Let's see what they say if the game is actual. He's a completely mortal man that believes himself to be a Greek god. Okay, so that is accurate in his character.
Yeah.
He has a very high opinion of himself, looking down on everyone else. He's functionally a mob boss, but everything he does serves his own deluded grandeur purpose.
Yep.
That would be interesting. I would like to see him in a reboot or a continuation, simply because his whole theme would not fit with the Gotham. It would be different. It would feel out of place but in a good way. Mm-hmm. Batman fighting against this whole Olympus nightclub kind of a thing. I would be on board with that.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it'd be different. And
okay, so
it would work.
Let's end this one with, I know you have very little knowledge. Who would you want to see in an Arkham game if they were to bring it back? As a reboot, or you can go ahead and call off your reboot characters, but as a reboot or as a sequel.
God, this is tough, man, because you're right. My knowledge is kind of... When I see it in front of me, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember this one, but nothing pops up in my mind. Because for me, everything that they've already done is what makes up the...
Arkham games?
The Arkham games, yeah.
Yeah.
When you say Arkham, to me, it's just Arkham...
the Arkham villains?
The Arkham villains, yeah.
What I would like to see them do is expand the world a little bit more and have Batman dip into some of the other individuals. Maybe have like the Rogues Gallery from Flash show up. So I know you know what Captain Cold... No, hold on. because they're regular people. They don't have powers in traditional sense. They always come up with a version where they gain their powers. But Captain Cold has a cold gun. Heatwave has a heat gun. Like, they could easily fight Batman, and it's a realistic fight, but it would be a fun nod to the rest of the DC universe. We're not taking superpowered villains. We're taking, maybe have Captain Cold and Heatwave going on a heist in Gotham because it's being taken over by the Arkham Asylum stuff.
Yeah.
So they happen to be in town. Take the villains that would make sense, you know?
Right.
I'd also like to see a cameo by like Superman who shows up. He's like, "Yo, do you need a hand?" And Batman's like, "Get out of my city," you know. And Batman's like,
it's true,
and Superman looks at him and he's just like, you know, Martha, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell's wrong with you?" You know, that'd be cool. But
well, wait, hasn't that been done before? Any Easter eggs or anything?
they had the phone calls. Clark was leaving a message.
That's right.
That's all they did.
That's what I remember. Yeah. Okay.
But it'd be cool if there was just a cutscene of like Superman hovering in, just as a fun cameo.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
You sure you don't need help? I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Joker through the X-ray vision. Don't tell me where he is. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm looking. No, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking in the direction, Bruce. You could just go that way. You can narrow it down to the west side. I mean, you did not tell me west side. I'm starting on the east side.
I could see that. I could see that. Or Wonder Woman just coming in and going like just making fun of Catwoman's and Batman's relationship.
Yeah, you could have that one. But like, I would to keep, because what makes Arkham fun is we don't normally fight a lot of his supernatural or his crazier villains. We keep because Batman always has more realistic villains. So I think it'd be fun to bring in a lot of like Captain Cold, like Heatwave. You could bring in other individuals. I'm trying to think of people who are some of the ones that used to be simple villains, like Black Hand, became like these super powered villains. But a Green Lantern back in the 90s, 90-ish, Black Hand was just a guy. You know what I mean? Now he has the Black Lantern ring and he's crazy. But like keep it like other rogues galleries from other superheroes that fit into the Batman motif.
So they would basically show up and then mess with Batman, and then the respective superheroes that fight those villains would show up
to like haul them back off to their area.
Yeah.
Like, what if you were following an adventure and you thought it was Mr. Freeze the whole time?
Yeah.
Only to find out it's Captain Cold with his gun.
That would be pretty cool, yes.
And you're like, wait, what? And then Heatwave
sense.
jumps down, and then, you know what I mean? Like that kind of a thing.
Yeah, when they leave hints, and they're like, well, it's obviously, because it's going to be a Batman villain, so it's obviously this guy.
Oh, it's got to be Captain Cold, but I mean, it's got to be Mr. Freeze. But you're like, oh my God, it was Heatwave the whole time?
Yeah, I could
and
see
then
that,
Flash shows up, and he's like, all right, I'm going to take him to Iron Heights. Are you sure you don't want me to grab, like, Poison Ivy? She's the street over. And Batman's like, get out of my city, Flash. He's like, dude, she wouldn't even know I was there. She'll just be in Iron Heights.
That would be funny, yeah.
If we just have a repeated gag joke of every other superhero showing up willing to help.
Yeah, but then it would drive people to go like, well, obviously their cameo was better than the entire game, so now we want this particular.
Well, yeah, and then you're hinting at other DC games. I mean,
that's true. I mean, yeah, it's actually a good plan.
Or you have the Rogues Gallery. What if Lex Luthor comes in through or whatever, like one of the basic Superman? So we have a mini game where you're Superman.
Yeah, that could
you know, or if it does turn out to be Captain Cold and Batman gets like frozen up, so then we have a mini game of you're the Flash having to run through and go get him. So you just have mini games with the rest of the Justice League that functional big games wouldn't work. But instead of the Batmobile, you're the Flash. Like that kind of a thing.
But then it wouldn't be Batman.
No.
It would be Batman and Justice League, basically. Excuse me. Jesus.
And we've named the game Batman and the Justice League.
Yeah.
And so instead of having bad Batman mini games like the car, we just like, all right, so this one's going to be Superman swooping in and you got to make sure you use your heat vision on these points. Okay, now you got to be the Flash running through the treadmill kind of a thing. Okay, so here's Wonder Woman. She's doing lasso stuff. I don't know what she would do that would be different from Batman. Maybe better combat. I don't.
Well, you can fly, can't you?
She depends on what version we're talking about. I don't think she can in the movies. The version they're running with right now.
They can give her wings.
I mean, I think they do in '84, but
there you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you think down below. What villains would you like to see in a Batman sequel or reboot? Because I still think all of these wouldn't work in a reboot, but a sequel, yes. Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to find Natalie over at twitch.tv/Yorcia, YORCIA, and you can find her Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday at about 4 p.m. Eastern.
EST, yes.
And I occasionally stream over at twitch.tv/EligibleMonster, where you can find me whenever I have time, kind of goofing around in Final Fantasy games and stuff like that. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you in the next video right here at Eligible Monster.
Thank you.